probably hear me in the back either way, but I'll go ahead and mic up and let sound work with it too. Let sound booth hear it. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you. Again, my name is Kent Boyd. I am president of the Carlton Reese Memorial Unity. I can't even get the name right. The Carlton Reese Memorial Unity Choir. In 1959, the Reverend Fred L. Shuttlesworth came to foot soldiers Ms. Mamie Brown Mason, Mr. Nimsgay, and Mr. Nathaniel Lee as the first musician to form a choir to sing at the mass meetings. Carlton Reese, remember we're the Carlton Reese Memorial Unity Choir, the composer to the movement, took over in the role of musician as a talented teenager in 1960. Now, in 1963, this choir sang for 64 nights in a row. Let's think that through. That's 9 weeks straight, a little more than 2 months, every single night, to prepare citizens now who had met their responsibilities and obligations as citizens, but who were not allowed to exercise their rights and their freedoms as citizens of this city, as citizens of this state, as citizens of this county and country. It was this choir's job to prepare these citizens to face dogs, fire hoses, billy clubs, axe handles, and to respond not with fear, not with force, not with fighting, but to respond with peace, to respond with love, and to respond with nonviolence. With that, I would like to introduce our music director, Dr. Eloise Gaffney, right here, and I will hand it over to her. Oh, and our musician, Mr. Tony Andrews. And we would like to share with you some songs and stories from the Birmingham Civil Rights Movement.
Ah! There's nothing you can do to turn me around. There's nothing you can do to turn me around. There's nothing you can do to turn me around. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, to freedom land. It's an uphill journey. It's an uphill journey. But I'm on my way. I'm on my way. It's an uphill journey. It's an uphill journey. But I'm on my way. I'm on my way. It's an uphill journey. It's an uphill journey. But I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, to freedom land. Are you on your way? Are you on your way to freedom land? To freedom land. Are you on your way? Are you on your way to freedom land? To freedom land. Are you on your way? Are you on your way to freedom land? To freedom land. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, to freedom land. And then I'm on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. On my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. I am on my way. I'm on my way to freedom land. To freedom land. Yes, I'm on my way. Oh Lord, to freedom Good afternoon. We are so glad to have you all in our city. My name is Jessie Shepherd, and during the civil rights era, I was a student in high school, and we knew about the movement, and we was told by one of the DJs, Shirley Playboy Stewart, what to expect in codes from the radio station. So we all knew that we were going to march. And I was told not to become involved, and I said, yes, ma'am. And I went anyway. So we went to 16th Street Baptist Church, where they took all our information, so if we were jailed, they would know where we were. Because when I was coming up, you all have heard about the white-only bathrooms, water fountains, and all of that. We went through all of that, and my mother did domestic work, and she cooked and prepared food for white people, took care of their kids. But she wasn't good enough to sit down and eat with them. So we couldn't go to the schools of our choice. We couldn't go to certain movie theaters. And we saw this white and colored only all the time. And so by that time, I was just fed up with it. And they called us colored
So I was one little fed up colored girl. So I decided to go and march anyway. So we marched and we sung freedom songs as we went along, and we sat at the lunch counters where we weren't supposed to be sitting, and we marched and sung our freedom song. We went to the department stores and we was demanding our freedom now. So we was arrested and I spent 4 days in jail. But because of the injustice that I have seen all my life, I wasn't afraid. But as a young person, I did want to go home. But now we go around and we sing our freedom songs and we go into the schools and we travel and we do documentaries and things like that. And we try to encourage our young people to register to vote as soon as you become of age. We encourage them to stay in school and take advantage of all the things that are afforded them, because we didn't have that opportunity. We didn't have that when we were coming up. And so, like I said, we felt like we was pursuing a cause for injustice. And so tonight, that's why you see a lot of us in here went to jail for that reason. And we're so glad, I would say again, to have you in our city. Thank you.
Know you've got a job, that all of God's children, surely have a job. We've got a job to do. We've got a job. We can't get freedom till we get through carrying the cross. Carrying the cross for I've got a job. I've got a job. We come here to say that you've got a job. All of God's children. All of God's children surely have a job. We've got a job to do. We've got a job. We can't get freedom till we get through carrying the cross. Carrying the cross for our right. Now we're fighting for freedom. Some of you might not hear us. Freedom. One time the Governor Wallace. Freedom. One time the Bull Connor. Freedom. One time for the city jail. Freedom. One time for the city hall. Freedom. The Constitution of the United States says that we do freedom, 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 justice, 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 justice. Yes, Lord. 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 Freedom, 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 freedom. We got a job to do. We got a job. We can't get freedom till we get through carrying the cross. Carrying the cross.
Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to reiterate that we are happy, we're delighted to be here and to see you here, and we appreciate your coming to listen to us. Our president told you that our choir is named after our director, one of our directors and musicians, Carlton Reese. That particular song that we sang, he wrote songs, he rearranged songs, he put different words to them so that they would be indicative of the times that we were going through and the problems that we were having. Jesse told you about some of the things that were going on, and there were many more. But there comes a time when people feel like enough is enough. And I was one of those also that went to jail. And that wasn't what I wanted to do, I thought. I never thought I wanted to go to jail. But sometimes there are things that are more important than what you physically think you want to do. And if it's something that's important enough, then you're willing to do it. And I'm grateful today that the Lord did allow me to do so. I went, and I had heard so much about jail, and I was afraid to go and all of this, but I was one day wanting to have children. I wasn't even married at the time, but I knew one day I wanted to be a mother, and I didn't want my children to have to come up like I did, and I would want to go places, but because of the color of my skin, we were not allowed to go. The scripture bears out how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. And I believe that's Psalm 133:1. Now, if God is our Father, then that makes us brothers and sisters. And you don't want to hurt your brothers and sisters. You want to see them happy too. Well, apparently everybody didn't have the same daddy. But I'm thankful today that there were people who did. We're thankful for those who did love God. Those who loved God sympathized with us and assisted us in many ways, and we're grateful for that. But we're so thankful that there were people who were willing to sacrifice themselves even just for the freedom of others. Not only my children, there were many children who couldn't do the many things that others did. But we thank God that even though we were deprived, God brought us through. So I'm grateful today. I don't want you to think that we get all the credit. We don't, because we didn't do it ourselves. We had the Lord on our side, and we've got songs that even reflect that. We knew it was God. He did marvelous things for us, and he keeps on doing it. So I'm grateful today, and we want to tell you thank you. Listen to the words of the songs. They have meanings, and indeed it inspired many people and helped many people to make up their minds that we're going to fight for this thing that's right. And if it's right, let's fight for it. Because even if you're a Christian, you're going to have to fight. You do know we got to fight the devil. So we might as well start knowing, okay, Lord, I'm willing to fight because I know you're going to have my back. And if I'm fighting for the right thing, he's going to be there for us. God bless you, and thank you so much for coming.
Good evening. My name is Shirley King, and I almost went to jail. In 1963, my friend and I, we were getting on the Birmingham City bus, and back in those days, they had boards that said colored and others that said white. And if there were white standing, black people, well, we were colored, excuse me. Colored people had to pay their fare in front of the bus, step off the bus, and go to the side door, and hopefully someone would open the door and let you in. But there were also times that the bus driver would pull off and you're left standing. Well, this particular afternoon, she and I don't know, we just didn't feel right, or she didn't feel right, so we didn't step off the bus that particular evening. And the bus driver drove another block, and he got off the bus, and at that time, we had policemen that directed traffic. We called it the 5 o'clock traffic. And he got off the bus and told the police that my friend and I, we were
disorderly. So the police took us off the bus and they set us in their car. Now, they didn't take us to jail that afternoon, but we were told that in 2 weeks we would get a summons to meet court, which we did. And when we did meet court, the judge at that time sentenced us to 30 days in jail and a $50 fine. Now, we told the truth, but the judge said our witnesses had been coaxed, and the white witnesses told different stories. So our attorneys at that time told us that we didn't have to go to jail, but we would have to meet court. And for 3 years, I went back and forth to court. And the third time, the judge at that time told us, "You all have suffered enough. We are going to dismiss the case." So we did not have to go to jail. Thank you.
Why don't you come on? Come on, freedom side. God said it's gonna rain, rain, rain. Yes, come on, freedom side. My God said it's gonna rain. Why don't you come on, freedom side. God said it's gonna rain, rain, rain. Yes, come on, freedom side. My God said it's gonna rain. King and Abernathy came to Birmingham. It's gonna rain. John Shuttleworth and the Freedom Band. It's gonna rain. Why don't you come on, freedom side. God said it's gonna rain, rain, rain. Yes, come on, freedom side. My God said it's gonna rain. King and Abernathy came to Birmingham. It's gonna rain. John Shuttleworth and the Freedom Band. It's gonna rain. Why don't you come on, freedom side. God said it's gonna rain, rain, yes, come on, freedom side. God said it's gonna rain. Rain, 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 freedom, 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 rain, 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 freedom. Why don't you come on, freedom side. God said it's gonna rain, rain, yes, come on, freedom side. God said it's gonna rain.
and Silas bound in jail, had no money to forgo their bill. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Paul and Silas thought they got lost. The dungeon popped open and they all walked out. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? We're the only chains that we can stand are the chains of hand in hand. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Got my hand on the freedom plow. Won't take nothing for my journey now. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, why don't you hold on? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Good evening, everyone. My name is Valencia Reese McCurdy. I am the daughter of Carlton Reese, in which the choir is named after. This choir is the combination of the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights Choir, and it was became under direction of Dad, but under direction of Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, the Alabama Christian Movement itself, and also the Unity Breakfast Choir, the Birmingham Unity Breakfast Choir, and other church choirs as well. Dad was a teenager during the movement. He was about 18 years old and a freshman at Miles College at that time. He would go to the mass meetings, and he took an interest in that because of the rights that he knew that, as they say, the coloreds needed at that time. There was a choir that was already established and everything by Mamie Brown Mason and Nims Bogay. Mamie Brown Mason's niece is in the choir right now. She was the founder of the choir, and also the song that she sang, "I'm on My Way from Freedom to Freedom Land," that she wrote that song too as well. And but anyway, so Dad was asked to be the musician for the choir. And he took on that job of being musician of the choir. They would sing many nights during the mass meetings. He would start writing songs based on the sermons of Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, Martin Luther King, the Woods Brothers, and so forth, whoever was doing the sermon of that night, based on the needs of, well, the need for freedom at that time. They would encourage those songs, and the choir itself would encourage the people to go out in the streets and to fight for our freedom and to march and for their rights. He continued to do that until he graduated from Miles College. When he graduated from Miles College, he attempted to get a job in the Birmingham school system, but at the time, the superintendent, of course, was a white superintendent and told him that he had a jail record, so he could not get a job in the Birmingham school system at that time. So he had to travel to Mississippi, ironically, and he taught in Mississippi for 2 years in Mississippi and was back and forth in Birmingham as a musician in Birmingham as well until he could gain a job in the Shelby County school system at that time. Ironically, most of his students were white at that time. By him being in the movement, that was kind of, I guess, not so, being the fact that he did not get a job in the Birmingham school system because of his race and his jail record. But he eventually retired from the Shelby County school system. And then he was, of course, a member of the SCLC. He was over the Martin Luther King celebrations or what have you, and he developed the Unity Choir as well. And I think in the 1980s, I began singing with them as a teenager, and they would sing for the Unity Breakfast for many, many years. And this is the particular choir that did that. He would continue his work throughout his life. He passed away in 2002, and Sam Robinson and Lynette Brownlee Taylor took over the choir, and once they decided that they would go on to their other endeavors, Dr. Gaffney here and also Tony Andrews became the director and musician for the choir. And again, I wanted you to know that, of course, that this is a combination of the choir from the 60s and also that Unity Breakfast Choir. And thank you for listening.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, my Aunt Mamie Brown did help to organize at the request of Reverend Shuttlesworth. But thank God at 7 years old, sometimes she actually took me to the movement choir. It was called the Movement Choir then, although as Miss Reese said, it was the Civil Rights Movement Choir. And all I can remember is at 7 thinking, all of this moaning and groaning, and I was feeling like that it was old fogey. And now that I'm grown and have children and grandchildren of my own, I said, thank God he heard their moans and their groans, because I was able to experience all of the blessings from all of the suffering that they did. I didn't stand in front of Bull Connor's dogs, but I'm so glad my mother's sister, my mom was her baby sister, and I was so happy that that she did what she did. She stood. She was a forerunner in helping to even bring Mr. Reese in, Mr. Carlton Reese in. I think they said he was about 18 years old when they hired him to play. And right now, this music that you're hearing is in the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. I'm so happy that my grandchildren can learn how the suffering and sticking with Reverend King and Reverend Shuttlesworth, which Dr. King was invited to our city by Reverend Shuttlesworth, and to think that all of this suffering has brought about change, some change. We had a chance, and I think it was in the 70s when I began to go into the schools that were integrated, because after all, they were fighting to stop segregation. So I'm thankful to be the niece of Miss Mamie Brown, thankful for the sacrifices. And that song that she wrote was, I'm on my way to Freedom Land. And to think how they believed the God of our ancestors, and they trusted him, and thank God he heard. He heard the moans and interpreted the moans and the groans and answered their prayers. Some have come short so many times, and evil thoughts have crossed our minds, but we've learned to pray every day that someday God will set freedom our way. Ooh, to me. Ooh. It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful, children. To me. Oh, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. To me. It's so wonderful, Jesus, to know that freedom shall be mine. And we have been built, and we have been scorned, and we have been talked about. As sure as you're born, but we're traveling on. We've done no wrong. We want our freedom. Oh, we've got to keep traveling on. Ooh, to me. To me. It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. To me. Oh, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful to me. To me. It's so wonderful, wonderful to know that freedom shall be
You know, sometimes the just singing these songs just send chills up and down my spine, because you know you wouldn't think that what happened when I was 13 years old in the movement, and just to think that people were so mean that they didn't treat you like human. You were treated like second-class citizens, but really that's even better than the way we were treated. I can remember we couldn't go to the parks, don't even mention the Alabama Theater, of course not. We did go once a year when they would have the TB fundraiser. And when we went then, we had to sit in the balcony. Other than that, we couldn't go to the Alabama Theater. I mean, come on, when you think about it, how unfair was that? I mean, people are people. And we suffered a whole lot. A lot of my story is the same as theirs,
but I will share this part. I worked with voter registration. Looked like we might need to start working it again. Amen. Amen. And I went into a community called Hooper City, and I tell this one everywhere I go. I was just so amazed to see chickens in Hooper City. I was like, Mom, we saw chickens today. You know, I'm used to going to the country where my mom is from, and we would see that, but I never thought I would see chickens in Birmingham. So that was exciting to me. Like I said, I was a kid. But anyway, I worked voter registration. We would go from door to door in Hooper City teaching the Constitution of the United States. Now, can you imagine somebody 80 years old trying to remember, might get past the preamble, but to remember all of that was just so unfair. But that was one of the tactics that was used to keep black people from voting. So a lot of times they would not pass the test. Sometimes they would pass, but that was one of the struggles that we witnessed. So I didn't go to jail in Birmingham. I worked really in the office with, I almost couldn't call his name, a lot of the guys, James Bevel, Harold Middlebrook, James Orange, I think is from this area, and everything was organized. We would make the posters for the people that were going out into the streets, so I was kind of doing the inside work. But when I went to Gadsden, Alabama, doing the same thing, voter registration, that's when I got thrown in jail. In Birmingham, they used the dogs and the fire hoses. In Gadsden, they used what you call a cattle prod. And they would stick you with that little thing, and it had a sting to it. So didn't have to worry about me because I jumped into the paddy wagon. Y'all know what a paddy wagon is? Okay, yes, indeed. So I witnessed my time in jail in Gadsden, and we were so young and crazy, I guess, and foolish. We didn't realize the danger, you know, and some of the older ones say they were afraid. We had fun in jail. Now, how do you do that? That's because we were not criminals. We didn't rob somebody. We didn't shoot somebody. We were actually doing a job so that our kids, you know, I'm like Mary. I didn't want my children to grow up and not be able to go to a park because of the color of their skin. So I was really, really anxious to do something about it, and everybody know in 1965 the Voters' Rights Bill passed. So those things, I tell you, they really had an impact on my life. I tell my children that I went to jail, and they be like, "Ooh, Ma, you went to jail?" I said, "Well, just understand, it was for a cause so that you could be able to witness things that you really should have had rights to all the time." So that was my big part in the movement, working with voter registration. And I always tell everyone that two of the girls, the four little girls that were killed, Carol Robertson and Cynthia Wesley, were my dear friends and classmates. Carol and I, we all went to Wilkerson Elementary School. When we graduated and went to high school, Cynthia went to Ullman High School, and Carol and I went to Parker High School. So in the 10th grade, you know what happened on September the 15th? It was a bomb that was heard around the world. And they were killed. I didn't realize it until after I had gotten to church, because it was a Sunday morning, and I didn't belong to 16th Street. I went to a church on 3rd Street that was Lily Grove Baptist Church. So when we got there, that's when we found out that some girls were killed. And it was later on that I found out that it was Cynthia and Carol. To this day, I still can't get over it, but I've learned to work through it, and I still get joy in going to tell the young people, you know, there is still a job for us to do. So don't be so concerned with things that's going on that won't value your life. You got to have it in your hearts to want to do something so that your children and their children will be able to enjoy the rights that we should have as American citizens. Thank you all so much for coming. I did want to do, but we are on a timeline. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
You guys, since I did a horrible introduction, my name again is Willie Williams. I did recognize one or two faces. Y'all, that's my friend. That's one of my moms, y'all. Her name is Gloria, just like my mom's name is Gloria. I went to college with her daughter. Stand up. Okay. My name is Willie Williams. I'm from Tuscaloosa. I went to Stillman College and the University of Alabama and all that stuff. We got to talk, y'all. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll stand up here and sing the last one with you guys. But I just want to say, on behalf of my boss, Mr. John Key, I got to tell him this was awesome. This was just, it blew my mind. Let me say this now, since it's on my mind. Y'all have really, really, really blessed my heart tonight. Can we give them a round of applause? Bravo, bravo, bravo. I think I did that on purpose. I think you guys need to know the level at which you are serving as ambassadors. I hear all the time from our past guests how these messages and these evenings like this continue to work on them and work on their souls, and then they go back to their prospective areas, and then they have influence on their whole spheres of influence. So please understand that you're doing a great service. And then the music has touched me on so many different levels. So on behalf of my boss, John Key, and the Alabama Civil Rights Tourism Association, thank you so very much for sharing your gifts with us. And if there's enough, hopefully you're invited to share the meal with us in the fellowship hall. So thank you, and we'll listen to your last song. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Standing before the dogs and the hoes, we're gonna sing, 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 sing. We're gonna pray, 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 pray. We're gonna march, 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 march. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on walking, I'm gonna keep on talking, marching up to freedom.
Oh, ain't gonna let nobody
Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around,
gonna let nobody
turn me around.
I gotta
Keep on walking,
keep on marching,
marching up to freedom.
Oh, ain't gonna let segregation
Turn me around,
turn me
turn me
around.
around,
Ain't gonna let segregation
turn me around.
I gotta
Keep on walking, keep on talking, 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 marching up to freedom.
We have, you guys are invited to in exchange for this Alamo Cloud. I can just run. We have